So I just did an entry of a movie that's about 6 years old, and I'm gonna do another one. Again, this film came out in 2017. It's a Netflix original, and it's called "What Happened to Monday." Now, many people probably do know this because it probably popped up on your Netflix feed when it came out. It was the thing they were pushing during the month of its premiere, and I don't feel that there's really a lot of, I guess, talk about it, because again, this is another film that's just kind of under the rubble of everything else. And it wasn't as successful as I think maybe Netflix kind of was hoping for it to be. It's got some pretty like mid-tier ratings, but truthfully speaking, this is just another really good example of movies done outside of the realm of any source material, just an extremely well-written screenplay that they turned into a movie. Now, it stars Noomi Rapace, who plays the role of seven sisters. And essentially, they live in this dystopia world where everybody follows the one-child policy. A lot of people may be aware of what that is. It was sort of a big deal because it was how China kind of ran their country and their community many, many years ago. The one-child policy is no longer a thing that I don't believe any country really enforces right now. And if I'm wrong about that, I don't mind standing corrected. But from what I know, it was meant to be just this kind of way of controlling overpopulation. And this takes place in an era where the overpopulation is so bad that they reinforce it, but they reinforce it globally. So you have this character, this father, who's played by William Dafoe. Again, great cast for this film, also, by the way. You got Glenn Close, William Dafoe, Noomi Rapace. Noomi Rapace is a fantastic actress, and I love seeing her in just about everything she does. So William Dafoe plays the father. His wife has, I believe it's, if six is sextuplets, I believe seven is septuplets. I believe that's what this having seven children at once is called, septuplets. So she has septuplets in this world of only one child is allowed. Now, if you do happen to have more than one child, you have to kind of give one up and they terminate it. It's a pretty dark storyline, but it is really like underestimated of how good they're able to kind of portray this, because you understand that, number one, you automatically hate the government because they're killing twins. If you're a twin, one of you is getting murdered. They are stopping people after they get pregnant and have the one child. They're like, okay, that's it. That's your limit. Everybody gets cut off from having another child. And then you have this idea of this guy who has now 7 babies. Does he report it to the government? No, he hides it and he raises the 7 of them as if they were one person, which is bananas. You have one person who exists in the outside world, and that is played by all 7 of them. Now, again, they're identical sisters, so all the roles are played by Noomi Rapace. And the reason why it's called What Happened to Monday is because they're all named after days of the week. 7 days of the week, 7 sisters. But they only go out one at a time, and they take turns, so each one can kind of experience the open world, but they all still have they all have the same life. So they all have to remember what everybody's doing, so they all kind of follow through, and there isn't any sort of confusion when they're out and about. And any sort of checkpoints and whatnot, they're identical. They keep the same look, and they keep that over the fact of all the security people that are out there, making sure that nobody's walking around with an identical sibling. So the reason it's called What Happened to Monday is, out of nowhere, the sister Monday doesn't come home. So they don't know what's happening. So they start going on this long-running journey to try to find out what happened to Monday. And they each have different personalities, and they each kind of bring their own little thing to the table. Like, one's really good at like parkour, then another's really good at technology, another's really good at being a girly girl. So you kind of have this mixture. It's almost like when James McAvoy was playing all the Split personalities in the movie Split. That's what it's kind of like looking at Noomi Rapace and seeing her plays all these different roles and have all these different personalities at the same time, on the screen at the same time. It's really good visually. It's a really tremendous story. And it's upsetting because I don't feel like it gets enough praise. Again, this is a one written off story that a lot of people have probably forgotten about. And I'm a person who doesn't like forget really good movies, especially if they stick in my mind. And this sticks in my mind a lot because I haven't seen anything like it. I have never seen anything like this concept of having all of these siblings in this one child world and this community that would easily murder the other six for one to survive, and then the six of them to sort of band together to find their missing sister, and then go out into the world while risking the idea of being caught, and they all look exactly alike. Like, they're going to all pop up with the same identity, and they're basically all going to get murdered because you are not allowed to exist. And what they do is they go really deep. It goes into government conspiracies, and they kind of join, I believe if I remember correctly, there is a sort of resistance that they kind of join, and they want to bring down the government and stop the one-child policy and show them what they're doing, what are happening to these people and these babies and these siblings. They want to show that. So it's this huge journey of them getting there, finding out what happened to their sister, and it's a lot of really good action. It's a lot of really good storytelling, and I love it, and I love kind of going back to it and realizing, like, I say to myself, holy shit, what a great movie What Happened to Monday was. And I don't know if anybody else is really like on board with that, because a lot of people, if you didn't watch it back then, it was one of those things where just Netflix gave up on it, because that's how Netflix works as algorithm. It pushes something out there, forces it on you for weeks, and then sees how it does, and then eventually something else is going to come out, and then it gets dropped and goes right down the drain, and it gets flushed out with whatever the new stuff is, and it gets buried underneath everything else. I don't even know if What Happened to Monday would pop up on anybody's lists of, Netflix original movies. Like, you'd have to go really deep into that to really find this film, and that's a little disheartening for me. I feel like that's a little messed up, because this is a great story, and I feel like it deserves a little bit more attention than being buried in the Netflix catalog.